The Nutcracker is the greatest interpretation of Christmas in art. Beautiful music, imagination, fantasy, importance of family at Christmas, and magic. Sit back and enjoy the ride.
Some people never come to Ballet, but they come to Nutcracker. Every year they'll come to Nutcracker. And it's a family tradition, and it's something that people do around Christmas. It's lovely.
You know, it's got a little bit of everything for everybody.
Ballerinas in tutus and dancing with point shoes.
Dolls and all the presents come to life. It's a fairy tale.
Everybody loves the music. And it's sparkly.
You know when you see the Nutcracker poster, Christmas is around the corner. My name is Vera. I play the double bass. I'm the principal double bass player here at Birmingham Royal Ballet. We're rehearsing for the Nutcracker, which is starting this week at the Hippodrome in Birmingham. It's an opportunity for us to run things through, see if there's anything that needs to be changed.
Hello, good morning everyone.
Our conductor this week is Thomas Jung. Thomas is very relaxed. He has a very relaxed approach. You don't feel like you're under pressure when he's around. He's very clear with his beating, and yeah, he has a nice smiley face and you can just relate to him. It's nice to play with him.
Well, good morning everyone. It's a real pleasure to be back here with such a wonderful score. And I followed the tradition and start with number 1 right away.
What we have here is the wonderful score by Tchaikovsky, The Nutcracker, a 2-act ballet that was premiered in 1892, and it's maybe one of the most famous ballets of all time. It tells a story. It's set on Christmas Eve, and guests are arriving and the children are very excited. A Christmas tree is lit and dressed, and you know, it's a very festive atmosphere. And then Uncle Drosselmeyer comes in and gives out presents.
Clara, the central heroine, she is on the cusp of adolescence. She's, I think, about 15 or 16, a keen ballet dancer.
She gets a toy Nutcracker.
The Nutcracker doll.
And at night time, when they need to go to bed, Clara sneaks down to the Christmas tree and tries to get her present.
Then the magic started to happen. The transformations at midnight.
We don't quite know, is that happening for real or is it just her dreaming herself away? However, the dolls and all the presents come to life and she finds herself on a journey to the kingdom of sweets. The character of these different moods, the festivity of Christmas Eve and then the smell of chocolate in the Kingdom of Sweets, the sugar plum fairy dancing on a glazed cake. That sort of characters we have to bring out with the music. I mean, the score does that beautifully anyway, but we have to get it right and give justice to Tchaikovsky's genius score.
A little lighter, so a little jolly, right? Just the beginning. 3 and... Right.
You hear this bum 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 from the bassoons and your heart starts going. The Chinese dance, it's just a very exhilarating, exuberant solo. My name's Sandy Skipper. I am the principal piccolo and second flute in Royal Ballet Sinfonia, the orchestra for Birmingham Royal Ballet. It is personally my bête noire of a piece. I find it really hard. I have to play very high on the piccolo and I have to play very low on the flute. You have a very different mouth shape for both of those situations.
Right, that's it. Sorry for doing it twice. I know how hard it is.
Added onto that, we start Nutcracker at the change of the seasons. You can feel it suddenly got colder, hasn't it? And that affects your lips. And then you start licking them to try and make them a bit more moist again so that you can play better, because dry lips affect how you play. One of the best seasons of Nutcracker I did was during the pandemic, because wearing a mask all the time protected my lips, kept them in really good nick, and it meant that I played really well. You don't make a lot of friends playing the piccolo because it's loud. It is a loud instrument. It can be very piercing. Yeah, people don't like sitting very close to me at all. It's like that sparkle at the top, and there's lots of sparkle in this piece. In the second act, there's a big tune, starts in the cellos, moves through all the other instruments, then I come screaming in on the top, and I do this and some people absolutely love that bit. They find it really exciting, and other people, they just stick the earplugs in and duck, run for cover.
Now relax.
You have to find a confidence to just play it. You've got to have a little bit of a show off in you as well. I don't think any of us do these kinds of instruments to not enjoy the little bits of solo that we have. Know your instrument, know your tuning, and just believe in it.
My name is Jeanette Wong. I'm the head of piano at Birmingham Royal Ballet, providing music in the studios for the dancers, not only for the rehearsals, but also the daily classes that they do. When we're rehearsing in the studios, we can't have the orchestra there, but of course, I only have two hands, so we very much need to learn how to adapt the music so that it's feasible to play. I came from Malaysia to Birmingham to study at the conservatoire here, and I discovered that I much enjoy collaborate with people. But dance accompaniment is very different. We are not really equipped to do that from the training that we receive. Terminology, the understanding of dancers' counts to our counts is completely different. It's deciphering all these informations. That's a whole process that took me a long time to learn to do.
I'm Thomas Jung, one of the conductors for Birmingham Royal Ballet. Ballet came much later in my life, and I had no idea how to conduct for ballet when I first came here, and I learned it all in Birmingham. And what I love about conducting for ballet is that in the way they embody the music on stage is very similar how we embody the music as conductors and convey what's in the score to the musician. So you can't really tell, is it them, is it you who's leading? You have to become one in a way.
Playing for ballet, I think you've got to see it from the dancer's perspective, understand what they need from you, and they can't quite explain it to you from a musician's perspective. So we have this dilemma where two sets of different professionals can't quite understand each other, even though we're collaborating so closely. Finding a way to communicate with each other, to find out how to do that, it's a huge learning curve.
The funnest bit to play is actually the fight scene, because it's so rhythmical and so active, and there's so many notes.
So can we go to the battles? Number 7, please. 3, 4. Listen to oboe.
The fight scene is where the Mouse King comes out in Clara's dream. It's a big person-sized mouse, and he has a mouse army with him. The Nutcracker has soldiers, and there's a fight between them.
Great, thank you. I've got one request. What we have on stage, it's all children playing with toys. So let's try to play the whole thing just a little lighter, you know? 3, 4.
So when the rats fight against the soldiers, the way Tchaikovsky composed that particular bit of music, it's really confusing what's going on, and there are themes being mixed and in a way fighting against each other. So it's a very well organized chaos. In some moments, texture becomes less clear, and bearing in mind that it's all toys fighting on stage, you know, it needs some lightness in it to bring the clarity to the texture, I think, and that's what I tried to find with the musicians.
Yes. And can this be even shorter?
So it can be quite tricky to play a passage like that on the double bass. Usually faster passages tend to be harder on the bass because the bass tends to respond a lot slower than the other string instruments.
Let's just do that. Let's hear that once.
We don't that often get passages that are really, really active. What I'm thinking of in my mind is that I need a lot of bite in my right hand. Imagine I'm putting my bow on the string. There's a moment before I pull the bow where I physically push down and I feel that resistance that the string is giving me. It's almost fighting against me. That moment of that bite is that moment that I'm looking for. I feel the tension on the string and then pull. It's not easy. There's a lot to worry about in there, but it's really fun to play.
Yeah, that's better. We take the break now and then we continue with second act in the second half. Thank you.
Are you normally in this early?
I'm always here before the rest of the orchestra, yes. Get some quiet tune. And it's a constant battle, obviously, the temperature changes all the time. I have to be here early as well, just to acclimatise with the building. And yeah, it's part of the job. Harpists, we probably spend more time tuning than we do actually playing the show. Diane Rowlands, I'm one of the harpists playing for this year's production for Birmingham Royal Ballet. Well, the Nutcracker harp part, in my opinion, is really well written. It kind of warms you up as a harpist. You come in gradually and it builds up. I mean, by the end, it goes on and on and on, and your arms are burning and dropping off by the end. But the part actually warms you up. I mean, I think the harp helps to sprinkle the tinsel, to be honest. We have lots of arpeggios and a lot of glissandi, and the glissandi is one of the cliche sounds people think of the harp, especially at Christmas. And we run our fingers up the strings, up and down the strings. It's a very magical effect. The famous big harp moment in this piece is the opening of the Waltz of the Flowers. The harp appears with a cadenza, which is a harp solo, and it's just a harp and a ballerina on stage. When we do the dress rehearsal, we'll see how it works with the dancer on stage, and I might get a note at that point. And maybe throughout the run, I might get the odd note saying maybe a little bit slower, a little bit faster, or to take some more time at the beginning.
Make the diminuendo a little earlier, so we can all hear the harps. Straight on, and listen to the harps. Mezzo.
It's nerve-wracking. You have to focus, but actually try to enjoy it as well. I mean, it's fun. A ballet conductor once told me, it's fantasy, you've got to embrace it, so that's what I tried to do.
Perfect.
I think just playing the notes is, that's just the notes. And sometimes I say to them, the question is what's between the notes and how's the tension from one note to another. And the tension is different if it's a side of relief or a side of tension or telling someone you love them. Yeah, and it's not just about the notes.
The nature of our job in a ballet orchestra is that you end up playing the same piece many, many times. You know a piece so well. You can literally close the book and you know it by memory. And I really like that. I really like that I just know what's around the corner. On the other hand, it's so hard to play the same piece so many times. And I think the challenge for us is keeping your mind engaged, keeping your mind focused, and keeping your mind working on the things that you need to work on.
I mean, there's 4 shows in the first 3 days, so we do so many. Fatigue is a thing as well with it. There's a lot of notes to play. I try to do it a little bit differently every time I do it. I don't have a game plan.
This piece is a great showcase. It's quite tricky, some scary bits. It's one of the reasons when somebody is on trial for a job here, we try and get them to do a Nutcracker, whatever instrument they're on. It just covers so many things that you have to address.
It never stops being challenging, which I like, but I also hate sometimes, because you can't just relax.
It's called playing. So we play with one another, and you see how they react to what you do with your gestures and body movement. And it's tricky, of course. It's fine nuances. But yeah, when you get the atmosphere right, while you play together, you're on the right path.
after the slight rallentandi that we make, go back into tempo faster, right? So straight in the next bar.
Hi, my name is Neil Mitchell. I play the French horn. I'm the second horn of the orchestra, and I'm also one of the pit porters. I come in early and set up the orchestra in the pit.
A pit. Well, a pit is, it's...
Essentially a big hole where the orchestra goes.
So generally, yes, the pit tends to be just underneath and in front of the stage. We have to squeeze in an orchestra of 65 for this production of Nutcracker.
It's very dark, it's all painted black, so there are no reflections.
Difference between a concert hall and a pit, obviously the pit has got walls, the percussion are squeezed in at the back, everything is a little bit more cramped, and obviously the noise levels, which is a big thing nowadays for health and safety, everyone has to have earplugs and screens. In a concert hall, sound leaves the stage and goes into the auditorium. In a pit situation, the sound is contained in the pit, and if you're sitting, for example, in front of the percussion, or if you're sitting near a piccolo, unfortunately the noise can only go out one way.
When you play a pizzicato in a concert hall, you hear like bum, bum, something like that, bum. So the sound is a little longer than the action that produces that sound. And in the pit, pizzicato in the pit would sound like bup, bup, and it's dead. And so we have to adapt to that and give it a rich sound.
Playing French horn, we tend to be at the back of the pit, so we never see what's actually happening on stage. So our only connection to the stage is through the conductor.
Often we just can't see anything, and you have to rely on the conductor to tell us that message, that that particular dancer wants this tempo to be this way. Things sometimes can be really slow, sometimes can be really fast. And without seeing it, it's quite hard.
I mean, this is part of the problem of being in a pit orchestra. You play these pieces and you don't see what's going on stage. We just did Black Sabbath, no idea what went on stage.
Sometimes when they're jumping a lot, then yes, we could hear a little bit of the stomping, but...
Are you allowed to call it stomping?
Yes, it does sound like stomping.
Years ago, I did Nutcracker for another company, and we were warned the dry ice would come into the pit. So we got used to it. You know, we were playing, and there's a part in the beginning of the second act where the harp features. And we got to the final show of the run, and I'm convinced they must have had a quota of dry ice that they had to use. And so much dry ice came into the pit that neither of us could see the harp. We got engulfed in dry ice. And thankfully, we'd done it so many times, the muscle memory kicked in and it worked. It was okay, but we couldn't see the strings, we couldn't see our hands, we were trying to blow it away. And we got to the top and suddenly it cleared and the conductor just waved at us. So we just reappeared, and I'll never forget. I mean, terrifying, but now hilarious. You know, and that's theatre. These things happen.
We're in front of the Celeste. It looks exactly like a mini piano, I would put it. And instead of hammers striking on the strings, you have a row of metal plates above a wooden resonator. It gives this really unique sound. You play it like a piano, but it's got a bit more resistance when you put the keys down. So you need to be quite firm with your touch.
Celeste, the name itself, means the instrument of heaven. Tchaikovsky heard the instrument for the first time in Paris and fell in love with it. He asked a friend to buy a Celeste for him in Russia and wrote to the friend, "I don't want you to show this instrument to anyone, especially not Rimsky-Korsakov or Glazunov, some of his fellow composers, because I am to be the first to use this instrument."
It's a little faster here.
It's kind of the highlight of Act 2. Sugar Plum Fairy is supposed to be this perfect ballerina. Everything that she does is so exquisitely beautiful, so elegant, and the music has this magical feel to it. In the beginning, I have to get used to the layout, so practice on my piano at home, and I would cover up the keys that don't exist on the Celeste, so I get used to that smaller surface, yeah. And because also it's a transposing instrument, which means what you see on the page actually sounds an octave higher. So you might see that on my score, sometimes I write to myself up or down, so that I remind myself that, okay, it's the lower part or the upper part of the keys. We were very lucky to have this beautiful Celeste having a full service, a full MOT last year. So it's got extra sparkle in its tones, and it's really, really lovely to play.
Good. Beautiful.
The story ends with Clara waking up under the Christmas tree. Yeah, of course, a happy end.
Wondering whether that was a dream.
It's not a serious story.
But I think what people love about it is that we see this event that we are so used to now, Christmas. We see that again through the eyes of a child, and I think that's something very special.
I mean, personally, I think it feels epic. You're in the pit, and it's very much a team effort. I mean, the big scenes, we're all in there, tonking it out. Hurts the fingers a bit, and the arms definitely ache at the very end. But I could play the score twice a day throughout December, quite happily. I'm always buzzing at the end.